right, it's Ron Goodall, FightHype.com. I'm here with Arturo Acevedo. How's everything going, man?
Everything's great. Just training.
We're at the DLX Boxing Gym, and it's one of the premier boxing gyms in Las Vegas. So obviously you being in the gym, I know you're getting good, solid work. You sparred today.
Yeah.
What can you tell the fans a little bit about yourself?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I train out of New York City Cops and Kids, and I'm Puerto Rican, and I'm just a regular kid from Brooklyn.
You say the words regular kid from Brooklyn, but kind of talking to your dad and things like that. So just small, slight differences from the average kid. I guess I want to start off with first is that you're a blitz chess champion, right? And with that, for people who don't know, that's speed chess. So,
yes.
What made you want to take on boxing, seeing the fact that you're able to kind of get that same fast-paced speed chess, but without having to take a punch?
Boxing, I grew up with a lot of team sports, and just naturally I felt like nobody really worked as hard as I did. So, boxing is a solo sport for the most part, except for your team that helps you out. And chess is the same thing, it's just you against your opponent. And I just felt like it's easier to rely on myself than to rely on other people.
With your style, right? I got to watch you spar a little bit. It seems like you can be very aggressive, but then you can also box.
Yeah.
Who's some of your influences that was able to kind of get you to that style?
I would say the main influences Bruce Shushu Carrington, Lomachenko, and that type of style.
You're Atlas Cops and Kids, right? Out in New York, right? What made you want to go into there? Because it seems like you can go through all these different avenues. Go to school, try different sports, be a chess master. But why boxing? Why that direction?
So when I was younger, I started in with Shotokan karate and Muay Thai, and then I saw this documentary about a boxer, a friend of mine, Rashad Mahdi now. And back then, I saw that he was a kid coming up doing kickboxing and boxing, and I saw that he was at New York City Cops and Kids, and it was a free program. And then I told my dad about it, and then he looked into it, and then we found the gym, and just fell in love from there. Great energy. I was training with the coaches over there, Coach Quito Bracero and Sosa, and just being able to work with all those fighters. As a little kid, it just meant so much to me.
It's crazy. There was epiphany that when I was talking to your dad and kind of reminiscing when I was covering boxing out in New York, there was this media day with Chris Colbert, and now come to realization, I got footage of you pretty much going after Chris Colbert's head and trying to take his head off, before his fight. You grew so much from that, from just size and things like that. So
it's been about 4 years, I think.
Just reflecting back now, you're doing nationals, you're placing the nationals now, and eventually your goal is to go pro at some point. You're able to do these type of transitions, but is your ultimate goal to be a world champion at some point?
Yes, my goal is just to get my name out there. My dad doesn't really want me to be a part of boxing, but he supports me as long as I, do my things outside of boxing, getting my lessons on Wall Street and other businesses outside. But, he only supports me as long as I do those things outside of boxing.
Some people might look at you as maybe like a kid that comes from maybe a privileged background or grand. I'm sure you've heard, or the fact that you have other avenues that can make a lot of money. You mentioned your dad, Wall Street, and things like that. And I know that you're into investing at this point. So when you look at it, where do you, when some people look at you and go, he might not have what it takes, the grit, the hunger to bite down. What drives you to actually tell those guys nah, you guys don't understand me?
Well, not a lot of people know this, but I grew up in Marlboro Projects. I used to stay with my grandparents a lot when I was younger. But the only thing was different was just how I was raised. You know, my parents or my dad didn't really want me hanging out on the streets or anything, so he put me into chess and Muay Thai, karate, boxing, and stuff like that. But you know, it was just the way I was guided was just differently than, you know, most people. But at the end of the day, you know, I just want to build a legacy for myself and my name and my family's name. And just overall, you know, everybody thinks that they know somebody until, you know, you actually have a conversation with them.
Yeah, and then probably everyone thinks they can beat you until they get in the ring with you too, right? You know. So at the age of 17, right, or how do you know?
18.
18. You train in New York, but you also come at DLX Boxing, train in Vegas. Who's some of the coaches or the people that was part of your training camps?
Well, you know, I work with a handful of coaches. You know, most of the time when I'm in New York, whenever I need them or if they're available, I train with Keto Bracero and Sosa. And out here in Vegas, I train with Coach Flick, Coach K, and I also train with Canito. And, you know, but at the end of the day, my dad is the one that's in my corner, you know.
You know, you bring up, you say Sosa, you say Coach K. Ultimately, these are Olympic, you know, coaches. Is your goal to go to the Olympics?
Yes, my goal is to. My goal is to not go pro until I either get 100 amateur fights or the Olympics. Hopefully 2028, if it's still around.
Now, some of the people we got to work with, SPAR, you know, heavy punchers, heavy hitters. Rolly Romero out here in Vegas, and in addition to that, you know, up and coming prospect Cormel Moten. What was that experience like, and what were you able to soak up?
I mean, that was the best experience, you know. At that time, I only had about 7 amateur fights, and, you know, just being able to work with those guys, it was a blessing. You know, I learned so much from them, especially Rolly, you know, he's like a big brother. And, you know, Kermel, you know, Rolly was able to get me to work with Kermel, and, you know, I just learned so much from him. He has a national amateur pedigree, and, you know, great guy, and just the work, it was like no other, especially coming from New York. That was my first time out of New York and sparring someone else, and it was just amazing work. I learned so much from him.
You know, also being as Gervonta has a fight coming up this week, and
yes.
He's been coming in out of this gym. Have you had a chance to cross paths with him and say what up to him?
Yeah, I've had a chance to cross paths with him. I saw him at Pound for Pound, and, you know, he's looking good, looking sharp, very strong. You know, the guys that he's working with, you know, the best. The guys I've seen him spar, you know, really up there. So,
you know, when you got to meet him, sometimes celebrities and boxers are, you know, very pompous or mean or just, but when you met Tank, you know, what was his energy like?
Oh my gosh, Tank, you know, he's really nice. You know, it's something you wouldn't really expect. And for him, you know, at first it was actually he kind of walked past me, but then he took a double glance and he was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't even see you." And then he shook my hand.
Oh, wow.
So you know, to really be, you know, one-on-one. That was the first time I even met him. So, you know, he treated me like with some respect. So I appreciate that. He was a great guy.
When you see someone come in that they don't really have to acknowledge anybody, but take the time to come up and recognize each person, even fault themselves, like, hey, you know what? Oh, my bad. Yo, what up?
Exactly. No, it means so much. You know, it shows a lot about them and their character.
So all the stuff that bloggers and the newspaper, all that stuff, that don't truly represent who Tank is. Yeah. And mentioning it's Tank week, and you got to see him work a little bit. You have a prediction of how the Frank Martin fight goes, because there's a lot of fight fans gonna be tuned into that.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, me personally, I go based off of, like, you know, what I see. I haven't really, you know, seen a lot about Frank Martin's camp and stuff like that. But just from what I've seen, you know, the guys that Tank is working with are, you know, really up there, and, you know, very, very strong fighters and fast. And I believe that the work that Tank is getting, I don't think that Frank Martin is getting the same quality work. But then again, I don't know his camp. I've only seen Tank's, but I believe that, you know, Tank is gonna pull it off this Saturday.
When you pull it off, like knock out Frank Martin, is it gonna be a brutal stoppage? Is it gonna be a come back from behind, dog out fight, or is he just gonna dominate from start to finish?
I mean, most of the time, Tank usually loses the first couple of rounds just because, you know, he's very patient. And I believe that, you know, Tank, at the end of the night, I believe that is gonna pull it out.
Yeah.
Whether it's a knockout or decision, you know, depends on how Frank Martin comes out that night. If he's gonna box, if he respects Tank's power like that, it just depends on the night. But I believe that Tank is gonna bring it home.
Awesome. Well, look, I won't take too much time before I let you go. Where can the fight fans get a little bit more if they want to follow you, you know, to your road to the American Olympics?
So you can follow me at Arturo_BKLYN on Instagram, and that's it.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you.